You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pilled News. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. We've got lots of news to go through today. First of all, we do have a bit of a correction from my video from yesterday. A viewer sent me a couple of emails and just wanted to make sure that I was very clear about where that post came from. We'll go over that in a moment. Also, my good friend Cyber found a tweet from Polish Patriot. Looks like ABC News, fake news ABC News, is trying to pass off some footage that they are saying is the Turks in Syria, but it's not. Also, Hunter Biden has agreed to a no-holds-barred interview. President Trump asked the question, where's Hunter? Well, he's showing up, and it just so happens to be on fake news ABC as well. Can't make this stuff up. Also, James O'Keefe and Project Veritas are on the cusp of releasing their CNN hidden video footage. The insider from CNN is willing to come out of the shadows, not only to produce the hidden camera footage, but also to come out and do an interview and reveal their identity. As soon as anything is released, we will be talking about it here. Also, it looks like the Ukrainian oligarch connected to Burisma and the Bidens has a hand to play in the arrest of Giuliani's associates. Also, looks like the IG report is going to be coming out on the 18th, and it will cover more than just FISA abuse. And it looks like Jim Comey and a clown asset Joseph Mifsud are buddy-buddy. They were actually in Australia together just days before Papadopoulos was set up in Rome. And finally, the activist attorney who is linked to the anti-Trump clown whistleblower is also linked to Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta. It just gets weirder and weirder, guys, but I'll tell you what, I'm not surprised by anything at this point. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from my sponsor. The world-famous delivery app DoorDash has announced that its security has been breached. Hackers have unloaded data on 4.9 million of its users. It seems like every other day another powerful app has been compromised. Who's going to be next? One of the best things you can do to help protect yourself online is to sign up for a free 30-day trial of Virtual Shield VPN. This will allow you to create a secure connection to another network over the internet. Virtual Shield can be used to shield your browsing activity from prying eyes, whether on a public Wi-Fi connection, a foreign country, or just at home. Here, let me show you how easy it is. I'm going to go to virtualshield.com and download the free 30-day trial, install it, and click connect. Once I'm connected, my IP address is now different than before. See? This month, Virtual Shield is offering a Halloween-long special of 25% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, Residential Access, and VIP Performance plans for as low as a cup of coffee. Sign up for a free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is about. You've got nothing to lose. All right, guys, first things first, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that this post right here is from Vote. It's not from Reddit. That was my mistake. It's just a screenshot, so I assumed, and I shouldn't have done that. So thank you very much for setting me straight on that. I think we're going to have a lot more information about this story coming up in the next couple of days because I did receive a lot of emails yesterday. But the rest of the day I took off, so I wasn't able to go through all of them. And after I finish my video today, I will be getting into all of that stuff. So if you sent me an email and it has something to do with this California fire story, fret not, I will be getting to it very shortly. All right, and my good friend Cyber Raider 4 sent this over. It looks like the ABC News, fake news ABC News, was attempting to use this footage, which is from a shooting range, and they were passing it off as a slaughter in Syria. Well, it's not. You can see when it's laid side by side. It is the exact same footage. They've cropped it a little bit, and they've tuned the color a little bit. But shot for shot and explosion for explosion, it is the same thing. And it is not the Kurds in Syria being slaughtered by the Turks. Very, very important. They are looking for any reason to tug at your heartstrings and to turn your attention away because the IG report is coming up. Let's go. All right, more on this fake news Turkey-Syria stuff. Method sent this over. It looks like this is from Gotta Be Fishin', Wayne C. He says, more fake news on this Monday morning. Bad actors can't lay still for 2 minutes while the MSM films The Dead. So these are people that supposedly were killed in strikes on Syria by Turkey. I'm going to play the video, and you guys tell me what you think. All right, we're not going to listen to the audio from the video because it's just a bunch of noise, basically. But here we go. These are supposed to be people who were killed in the strike. And I just want you to take note of these bodies. Oh, what's that? Who's that there? Oh, my gosh. Looks like that one's having a hard time laying still. Do you think they got him before he actually passed away? Or do you think that these are people acting and being filmed for the mainstream media presentation here in America so that they can blame President Trump for the deaths of Kurds, supposedly? We've got bodies that are moving that are clearly not people who are dead. These are actors. These are actors who are having trouble laying still. There's another one right there. Somebody else who cannot lay still for 2 minutes while they film a fake video trying to blame the president. Oh, look, cover this guy up. Oh, look, he's moving again. Another one. Can't stay still. These people are not dead. These people are actors. Actors, acting. Oh, he really needs to get up. Wonder if he's got to go pee or something. Oh, okay. So I think we've seen enough. This proves my point. There is nothing going on in Turkey. Now, Ardoc said that this Turkey-Syria stuff is about removing protection for the leftists who are in Syria trying to train people to fight against the United States. So I tend to think that Ardoc is correct. He's generally pretty dead on when he comes up with his assessments of situations. So, sorry guys, it looks like we got you again. Because guess what? We are the news now. All right, so we have been hearing the 18th for quite a while now. And the Gateway Pundit is reporting that it should be released on Friday the 18th, and it's going to cover more than just FISA abuse. Now, Fox News Sunday Morning Futures host Maria Bartiromo told Congressman Doug Collins on Sunday that the DOJ IG report on FISA abuse will be released Friday, October 18th. DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz has been working on a report documenting the FISA abuses by former President Barry Obama's corrupt DOJ and FBI during the 2016 election, targeting Donald Trump. It's as thick as a telephone book, Bartiromo said, more than just FISA abuse. Let's go ahead and look at that clip of Maria saying that.
Welcome back, and we are back with the ranking Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Doug Collins. Congressman, I want to get your take on the IG report. I have reported last week on Fox Business, I reported that I'm hearing the IG report will be out this upcoming Friday, October 18th, and my sources say it's as thick as a telephone book, more than just FISA abuse. Can you give us any sense of what you're expecting out of this Inspector General report, which is forthcoming?
Well, we're expecting it to show exactly what we've been concerned about for a long time, that there was issues at the Department of Justice, especially dealing with the FISA court. And you know, Maria, how I actually know this? I start looking at the ones that should be the most concerned, because one of the things I didn't mention a few minutes ago is the Democrats wanted nothing to do with any investigation into the real issues of collusion and corruption that was part of the 2016 campaign, which was the Democratic National Committee and Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS and all these parties that came together to try and deny Donald Trump from becoming president. And they never wanted any part of that, and they're not wanting any part now. And you see it when you see Brennan and you see McCabe and you see some of these really ramping up the I'm innocent phase of their life when they go on TV and talk about this is not really happening. But the best one is when Mr. Comey, the one who has the trouble with the truth, who has a Superman syndrome, is out there saying, oh, I wish that this would just go away. But then he reveals himself and he says, all I want to do is get rid of this president.
He's right. These people are running scared. They know what's coming up. Now, I know that there's been a couple of letdowns with these past IG reports, but this one, guys, is the big one. This is the one we've been waiting on this entire time, and this will deal more than just the FISA abuse out to us. It will deal with all of the crimes of these people involved in Spygate, and I will not be surprised if many, many people are going to be put up for criminal referrals, and this time it will be the DOJ with U.S. Attorney John Durham deciding to bring those charges against all of these guilty parties. Now, Congressman Nunes in January of 2018 released a 2-page FISA memo revealing that Hillary Clinton's phony dossier formed an essential role in the FBI obtaining the FISA warrants on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. In fact, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe testified that if not for that phony Russia dossier, the FBI would never have sought the FISA warrants. The FBI, under Comey's directorship, obtained 1 FISA warrant and 3 subsequent renewals on Carter Page, beginning in October of 2016 and ending in June of 2017. The FBI also defrauded the FISA judges by withholding exculpatory evidence on Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. Now, as I said just a moment ago, this is completely different, cut from whole cloth, different from anything that we've seen before. This is the fraud upon the FISA court. They lied, they made things up, and they presented fake evidence to the FISA court in order to get these warrants and then the renewals. This is the absolute sickest perversion of our criminal justice system. And I must believe that in order for us to get it back, in order for us to regain the trust that is necessary in our own government, we have to see justice played out. And this is what's going to bring it for us, guys. Have no fear. Well, President Trump asked the question, where's Hunter? And it turns out he's on good old ABC News. Looks like he's going to be appearing tomorrow, that's Tuesday, on Good Morning America for a regular softball game of interview questions. It says that there's no questions that are off limits, but I can't imagine he's going to say anything that's going to incriminate himself unless he's really dumb. But then again, he is Joe Biden's son, so I guess there's always the chance that that's going to happen. But he should be answering some questions about Ukraine and China and about how he, definitely did not do anything corrupt or, make any money based upon his father's position as vice president. But he did step down from his company over the weekend, or the company that he's involved with, as a result of his nepotistic relationship that he has with other countries as a result of being Joe Biden's son. So here's the quote from President Trump. "Where's Hunter? He has totally disappeared. Now looks like he has raided and scammed even more countries. Media is AWOL," Trump tweeted on Sunday. And then they get into the opportunity to dig at President Trump over this July 25th phone call with Zelensky. Of course, we know that there's nothing wrong with that phone call. I saw him on Judge Jeanine over the weekend, and he said he threw him for a loop because they never thought he would release the transcript of that phone call. Well, he did, and it proved that he did nothing wrong. And that's why we now have these secret impeachment proceedings from the likes of Pelosi and Schiff. So if there is anything interesting that comes out of this interview, then I will be going over it tomorrow. But in the meantime, we've got a lot more news to get to. All right, so the very first portion of the Expose CNN expose has been released. And it looks like it's actually got footage of Jeff Zucker on his calls to executives in the morning. Also, the identity of the whistleblower has been released. And let's go ahead and take a look at who that gentleman is. And in a tweet from James O'Keefe, he says, "I'd like to introduce CNN whistleblower Gary Porch, who secretly recorded his colleagues for months. We'll be uploading clips all day and night," says Porch. "I didn't see any other option. I decided to wear a hidden camera to expose the bias." And here we have a picture of him with CNN icon Wolf Blitzer. And here he is in the actual interview with James O'Keefe himself. All right, so it looks like Project Veritas was having troubles uploading the video, but that first 19-minute segment has been released. This is the whistleblower here. Now, I only stop you guys so that you know that he has okayed the release of his identity. I'm assuming he's not going to be working at CNN anymore after that. But the first 19-minute segment of the video has been put up, and it's pretty much what you would expect. I was only able to get through the first 3 or 4 minutes because I needed to continue making my video here, but I am going to be watching it after this. Now, I will say, it is a lot of anti-Trump stuff. Basically, Jeff Zucker, it is admitted by people that work there that he has a vendetta against President Trump. So I am going to leave the link to this Project Veritas video in the pinned comment below, and I highly suggest that everyone go and watch it if you have not yet. Of course, as soon as you're done with this video. All right, so we know that over the weekend, a couple of Rudy's associates, the gentlemen who were bringing the information out of Ukraine in regards to the corruption of Joe Biden and his son. Well, there's a Ukrainian oligarch that's connected to Burisma, the Bidens, and billions in missing U.S. dollars and IMF funds. We've talked about him here on the program before. Well, apparently he is suspiciously connected to the arrest of those Ukrainian Giuliani associates. 2 associates of Rudy Giuliani were arrested for campaign finance charges in New York last week, and reports are that their arrests are connected to the Ukrainian oligarch we reported on at the beginning of the month, who is tied to billions in lost U.S. and IMF funds. It was reported last week that 2 associates of Rudy Giuliani were arrested in New York on charges of campaign finance violations. 2 donors to a pro-Trump fundraising committee who helped Rudy Giuliani's efforts to investigate Democrat Joe Biden were arrested late Wednesday on criminal charges stemming from their alleged efforts to funnel foreign money into U.S. elections and influence U.S. politics on behalf of at least one unnamed Ukrainian politician. The individuals were also reportedly U.S. citizens, so it is unclear what their real crimes were. Many suspected that the arrests were in retaliation to the work that Giuliani has reported recently related to the Biden crimes in the Ukraine. Now there are reports that the arrests may be connected to the Ukrainian oligarch connected to the Bidens and Burisma, who lost billions in U.S. and IMF aid dollars. Now here is a tweet from Ivan Penchikov. He says, note on Parmas and Fruman, those are the Ukrainians who were arrested. The Giuliani associates arrested on campaign finance charges yesterday. Giuliani identified them as his clients back in May. And it says an American analyst describes Kolomoisky as super dangerous. The notorious oligarch returned from a long exile and immediately threatened and defamed 2 Americans, Lev Parmas and Igor Fruman. They are my clients, and I have advised them to press charges. Now, that was from Rudy Giuliani. On October 1st, we reported that the Biden and now Kerry scandal in the Ukraine is much more than about the money paid to Hunter Biden for being a board member at the largest gas producer in the Ukraine, Burisma Holdings. The real scandal involves billions in funds from the IMF and U.S. in aid that has gone missing. Burisma, Ukraine's largest oil and gas producer, has been the subject of many recent news articles because of its scandalous close-knit ties with President Barry Obama's Vice President Joe Biden and Secretary of State John Kerry. Yes, John Kerry is involved here too. Privet Group controls thousands of companies of virtually every industry in Ukraine, the European Union, Georgia, Ghana, Russia, and the United States and other countries. Steel, oil and gas, chemical, and energy are sectors of the group's prime influence and expertise. None of the group's capital is publicly traded on any stock exchange. And there is Kolomoisky right there. We've spoken about him on the program previously. And Kolomoisky is a Ukrainian Jewish business oligarch billionaire and the former governor of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Sorry about wrecking that right there. He's also changed his name several times, and before the Orange Revolution, Privet Group had been widely regarded as relatively uninvolved with politics, but Kolomoisky was loyal to the Leonid Kuchma regime. Now, as noted in previous posts, Kolomoisky purchased a private military consisting of mainly military and police forces who were also employed by the Ukrainian government. Kolomoisky is credited with stopping the forward progression of Russian separatists via the use of this private military. Now, the International Financial Agency that had rushed the money to Ukraine in April in response to what IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde called a major crisis, well, she went on to hail the government's unprecedented resolve in developing a bold economic program to secure macroeconomic and financial stability. Now, because of that, there was about $5 billion that were pushed into Ukraine due to the crisis that was taking place there several years ago. This was the IMF's money. They put that into the National Bank of Ukraine, the country's central bank. Now, that money was supposed to be used to prop up local and commercial banks, and then the IMF would have to oversee how all that money was used. Well, Kolomoisky's bank, which was Privat Bank, is later revealed to be a recipient of $1 billion of those dollars in IMF funds. funds, and Kolomoisky, is believed to have looted those funds. Now, at one time, Kolomoisky was placed on a U.S. government visa ban list due to his questionable business practices. However, shortly after Archer Devon and Hunter Biden joined the board of Burisma, that ban was mysteriously lifted, and there has been no investigation into these missing funds. Now the question is, where are those billions of dollars that went missing in the Ukraine, and what do Obama, Biden, and Kerry and their children know about where that money is, and are they connected? And it begs the question, are they all connected to the arrests of these associates of Rudy Giuliani? He just happens to be one of the richest, most powerful men in Ukraine, connected directly to the company that is surrounded by all of this corruption, and was in the midst of a lawsuit against the two Ukrainian-American gentlemen who were just arrested and were helping Rudy Giuliani. It sounds like this goes far deeper than anyone in the mainstream media wants to admit. Now, the funny thing about it is they were U.S. citizens as well as Ukrainian citizens, dual citizenship. So what is the campaign finance violation? If they're an American donating to these American PACs and political campaigns, what is the actual laws that they are breaking? This, again, to me, looks like retaliation for the fact that they were helping Rudy Giuliani to get this information about Kolomoisky and Biden and Hines, all of these different people. The children of the American political dynasties that we have here that have been in power for so long. So hopefully these gentlemen are going to be fine. Hopefully the DOJ is doing the right thing. Maybe they are getting them and arresting them in order for them to be protected. We're just going to have to continue to watch, and I'm sure that Rudy will be out there before too long letting us know exactly what's going on. Now, in what is potentially the biggest story of the day, both Jim Comey and Clowns in America asset Joseph Mifsud were in Australia only days before Papadopoulos and the Mifsud meeting took place in Rome. That sounds to me like a pretty good possibility that Jim Comey and Mifsud were working together hand in glove. Now, deep state spy Joseph Mifsud was used to tie George Papadopoulos to Russia by the deep state, by the Mueller gang, and their mainstream media allies. Mifsud also was there when General Flynn was set up in London by Stefan Halper. He also was close to Hillary and even dined with her in 2016. Now we know that he was also an author of a Brexit plan endorsed by multiple EU countries. As we noted in February of this year, candidate Trump's unpaid volunteer George Papadopoulos was spied on by the deep state through an individual named Joseph Mifsud. Mifsud's purpose was to plant information with Papadopoulos, namely that the Russians had Hillary's emails, so that the same information could be retrieved from Papadopoulos and the deep state could say that the Trump campaign knew Russia had Hillary's emails. Papadopoulos explained this in an interview with former secret agent and author Dan Bongino when he shared this. Bongino says, "I want to get right to it. I have a list of questions for you. I guess the easiest question to ask is, why did you meet with Mifsud?" And of course, we know that Mifsud was a Maltese professor. We know that Papadopoulos was working at the London Center for International Law Practice. He had no idea it was some sort of front for ex-Western diplomats and intelligence agents as well. We also know from this interview that the legal counsel for the FBI in the UK, Arvinder Sambai, also happened to be the director of the organization. And he told them that he was leaving London to go work for the Trump campaign. And they said, wait, you've got to meet with this guy, Joseph Mifsud. So he went there, he got set up, and the rest is history. Now, the mainstream media and the FBI, DOJ, and Mueller team all wanted to connect President Trump to Russia, so they set up Papadopoulos and then claimed that he met with Russians. The only problem is that the Russian he met with was not a Russian. He's a Maltese professor. Joseph Mifsud and all the connections in London were a big setup. We also know that Mifsud dined with Hillary Clinton and a group of Italian socialists. Papadopoulos was in an interview with Fleckus Talks, and in the interview, Papadopoulos says, "So what I learned by my wife at a time that I was in discussion with the Mueller team, she was like, 'Why are you pleading guilty?' I'm like, what do you mean? She says, do you know that Mifsud was attending a dinner with Hillary Clinton during the 2016 campaign, along with senior-level Italian diplomats who was head of the socialist group there? I'm like, what are you talking about? I thought he was a Russian spy. She says, no, he wasn't a Russian spy, and I didn't know what to do. Now, as we reported in mid-September, General Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, gave us a clue regarding the deep state's actions in setting up members of the Trump team. Powell requested that the U.S. government provide her and her client, General Mike Flynn, documents related to deep state spy Joseph Mifsud from an event in late 2015. Now, notice that Powell refers to 302s regarding the dinner event in 2015 that General Flynn attended, which means that the FBI was interviewing Mifsud as early as 2015 and knew exactly who he was and was not before Papadopoulos ever met with him. Now, notice also the timing of this event was days before Strzok's text in late December of 2015, where he states that multiple spies were in place at the time. Now, this. Pro Dreamer 1 reported that Joseph Mifsud and James Comey were both in Australia the week before the George Papadopoulos meeting. And here is that tweet right here. It says, James Comey and Mifsud were in Australia in the second week in March 2016, only a few days before your arranged meeting with Mifsud in Rome. Clapper was in Australia 2 weeks later. Let's take a look at this tweet. We have Joseph Mifsud from the Maltese newsletter showing that he would be in Adelaide on the 8th and 9th of March in 2016. And then we have U.S. spy boss James Clapper meeting there with James Comey. It says last week the Australian Federal Police hosted the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So on the 15th, we have Clapper in Australia. The week before, which would line up with that timeline for Joseph Mifsud also being in Australia, we have Comey. We have Clapper, we have Mifsud. They were all there, and they were all meeting for one purpose, and that was to set up George Papadopoulos. They were planning the operation to insert Mifsud and get these guys set up. Incredible. Now, George Papadopoulos says here on the 12th, breaking, Mark Ryan, ex-director of Australia's Underwater Acoustic Intelligence Agency, and Alexander Downer's former chief of staff, was meeting with Joseph Mifsud a couple weeks before he drops the info on me. Looks like Mifsud was in on it with Australia. Bad news for Australia. And then George continues, we now have evidence that Comey and Mifsud were meeting the same officials in Australia just days before I was guided to meet with him in Rome. The Washington Post should be livid that Comey uses them to spread propaganda just 2 months ago when he called Mifsud a Russian agent. Now, it's clear that this was all planned out meticulously. We have Strzok saying that there are multiple spies in place. We have the heads of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies from America meeting with these people in multiple countries throughout the world, namely Italy, UK, and Australia. And I want to say that we have President Trump and his head of the DOJ, William Barr, meeting with people in these countries as well. It looks to me like the origins of Spygate are very close to being revealed to the American public, and for the perpetrators of Spygate to be seeing their day in court before too long. Guys, they are not going to allow these people to get away with it, because if they do, it spells the end of the United States and our way of life as we know it. We can toss it in the trash because we will have completely destroyed everything that America stands for. The things these people have done in their quest to stop and remove President Trump from office are absolutely despicable. We must return our country to the rule of law, and that is only going to be done with the criminal prosecution of the people who were at the very heart of this operation, and that goes all the way up to President Obama. Now, finally, the activist attorney for the anti-Trump Clowns in America whistleblower, turns out he's linked to Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta. From what we know so far, the current participants in the latest coup attempt to remove Donald Trump include a who's who of liberal politicians. Activist attorney Mark Zaid who represents the anti-Trump clown whistleblower, is linked to Hillary's campaign manager, John Podesta. The Clowns in America whistleblower is linked to Joe Biden and reportedly traveled with Joe Biden to the Ukraine. Now, far-left activist and attorney Mark S. Zaid, who represents that anti-Trump Clowns in America so-called whistleblower, promoted a sinister scheme for Robert Mueller to become an anti-Trump whistleblower. Zaid co-authored an op-ed in the New York Times calling for Mueller and his staff to become lawful whistleblowers. Today, Zaid is representing the anti-Trump Clowns in America whistleblower in the Democratic Party's latest attempt at a coup to remove President Trump from office. Mark Zaid is also the executive director of the James Madison Project. Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager, John Podesta, is an advisory board member at the James Madison Project. Once again, I am not surprised. This is always a who's who of people who hate President Trump, people who have been trying to remove him from office since 2016 and before he was even in office. These people will stop at nothing. They are destroying America so that they can remove President Trump because they know that in 2020 they are not going to be able to win. Well, guys, another day of news, another round of the mainstream media apparatus being exposed for the frauds they are, and here we are delivering the news in their place. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. I just wanted to say once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel. If you want to, there are links in the description of this video below for several different ways that you can help out. Also, don't forget that when you support my sponsors, you are supporting the channel. Without them, I would not be able to keep doing the work that I'm doing. Also, if you are not already, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and that you click that notification bell to make sure that you get notifications every time that I do put a video out. And you can also follow me on Twitter at RedPill78. So thanks again, you guys, and I'll see you next time.